Hey, what's going on YouTube? Lightsaber Samurai here. I'm back again with another video, and recently I did a collaboration with some fellow YouTubers on the platform, and we were answering the question, what is our favorite console to collect for? Now, in this video you'll see footage from myself, Pickflip, Gat Cognac, Hyphy Gold, and Mr.wright Way, and we all answer that question. Now, a couple of things to note here. First of all, this was originally Pickflip's idea, so you can go see another version of this video on his channel. I'll leave a link in the description below. Two things to note about his video is, one, his is slightly longer. I did trim a couple of parts in this video just to keep it under the time that I like. So that being said, everybody's thoughts I think are still put across without sacrificing any of that. Secondly, I actually reshot my answer for this question, because honestly I can make a video featuring every console in my collection and why it's my favorite to collect for. So if you want to see my other answer, you'll have to check his video out. But without further ado, my favorite console to collect for, let's talk about it.
So we're talking about some fun consoles that we're currently collecting for. I do want to mention that the Game Boy Advance SP is a console that was there to shed light during some downtrodden high school gaming days. But there's a system that kind of started popping up in high school during field trips. A lot of people would take this system out and play the games, and that is the Nintendo 3DS console. I felt it was a time to add the next generation to my console arsenal. Honestly, I didn't even have an arsenal, but I would like to pretend I did. It wasn't until many years later, when the 3DS XL was released, that I was able to afford one of these with my career. Currently, I'm having a blast collecting for the console. If you take a look at the console itself, you'll find a not so pocket friendly size shape with dual screens and basic format controls. The system themselves come in a ton of colors and limited editions, from the NES theme to Fire Emblem. I have a few that I'm displaying in this video, but I do have more systems. I'm having fun collecting for the system right now because you can still find games and systems in the wild. A lot of people are trying to upgrade to the Nintendo Switch, even though it's been a couple years since it's been released. So they're selling off their older consoles like the Nintendo 3DS, 3DS XL, with games as a lot packaged in. So you can still go find them at your local Facebook Marketplace or at garage sales for decent prices. So I've been having a lot of fun collecting for the 3DS console. The awesome part about it is that it's backwards compatible with the DS system, so you have years and years worth of games. So you have classic games that were re-released on the DS system, like Chrono Trigger, you know, Super Nintendo game that I really don't want to spend that much money on to get it on the SNES, but on the DS I got it for a good price a couple years ago, and I still have it to this day. In fact, recently I found another copy, which will be in a later on video. But you have classic games that were ported over to the DS console, which still work on the 3DS console itself because of its backwards compatibility, kind of like the PlayStation 3 that plays PS1, PS2, the early PlayStation 3 system. You know, it's awesome because you can go back and play previous generation of games. Here's the same concept but in a handheld portable form. You have the 3DS console, you have the DS library, you have the 3DS library, and I think it's a great mixture of games. So I just really have a good time because, you know, it's such a cool console. You know, to me, I like that it's portable. I like that you were able to play, let's say, Mario Kart with friends on the go, or RPG sprite game characters like Chrono Trigger. There's all these quirky other type of games like Hotel Dusk. You also have something like Moon or Dementium. Of course, you also have your Marios. Of course, you also have your Pokemon games. I mean, you have such a huge library of games that honestly, I think it's overwhelming sometimes, the amount of games that you can actually play on this console. So that's the console that I'm having fun collecting for right now. This is Pickflip. How about you guys? What are you guys collecting for right now?
It's your boy Gat Cognac here, and one of the favorite consoles I love to collect for is actually none other than the PlayStation 1. OG PlayStation right here. And you guys know right now PS1 is really hard to collect for, but if I look back, PS1 is actually one of the consoles that I first started really collecting for, and that always holds a special place in my heart. During the time, I didn't really have too much money to buy a lot of games, so me and my brother would just pool our money together, go to Toys R Us, GameStop, and we'd buy games because we never really got games unless it was like a birthday or we didn't really celebrate Christmas like that. So basically, every once in a while, and maybe my mom was feeling good or my pops was feeling rich, I don't know. So, like I said, a lot of those games we either got as a hookup. My brother's friend actually gave a few games like Xenogears and Final Fantasy VII to us, and that got us into like a lot of the RPG games. So, man, really thankful to have that console and how that kicked off our collection, man. So during the end of the PlayStation era, GameStop had started to discontinue putting up video games for PlayStation and stuff like that. So I found around that time I would just go all over to EB Games and GameStop, Funko Land, and all that stuff, and I would just try to buy up all the PlayStation games. And I was starting off my collection of trying to find all the Squaresoft games back in the days. So that was my favorite pastime on the weekends or whatever. I wasn't even actually driving until late in the game, but every time I would be with my mom and she'd pass by a GameStop or something, or EB Games, I would go over there and go through the little basket and see what kind of PlayStation games I could find. And I would just buy them all up. And even so, at the time, a lot of Squaresoft games are still going for like $20 to $30. So I found that time I bought basically almost all the whole Squaresoft games from GameStop mostly. So I'm only missing about like 6 games right now, which I should have just went and got. One of them happens to be Parasite Eve 2, so damn, why didn't I get that, right? So it was really a good time because I was really on the hunt for specific games, and PS1 was always just one of my favorite consoles, man. So many great games, and even to this day I'm still looking for a lot of hit pieces, man. So I know a lot of people is gonna say PS2, which I wanted to say too, but PS1 is where it's at, man. There's still so many games out there I want for the collection, and I still want to look forward to this day.
What's up, YouTube? My name is Mr.wright. Now, last year, I started collecting for a console that I said I would never collect for. Why? Because it's too freaking expensive. Your boy, Mr.wright found out a way, the right way, to collect for the Nintendo GameCube. Now, here's some of my favorite games I collected this year. The games like Metal Gear Solid, Beautiful Joe 2. Now, Beautiful Joe 2 is such an amazing game. A lot better than the first one because, you get to play with his girlfriend and, hey, it reminds me of my wife when we play games together. But still, now Beautiful Joe 2 expanded on Beautiful Joe on everything from the level, from the difficulty, to the music, the colors. I mean, just go play that game. It's not expensive, so go get it. Def Jam Fight for New York. Man, Def Jam Fight for New York. That game will kick your, and even rare games like Animaniacs, The Great Egg Hunt. Now this game right here, guys, it is a hidden gem. Also, that's right, a hidden gem. Now guys, this game is super hard to find. It's almost borderline rare. If you see this game, make sure you pick up a copy because it don't come around often. I love playing the Resident Evil games on the GameCube. I think it's the definite version and the most complete version on the GameCube. Yes, it's on the PlayStation and it's everywhere. But Resident Evil 2, 3 are just so amazing. And even Code Veronica X, I think is a lot better than the Dreamcast version. Yeah, I said it's better than the Dreamcast version. Come on, come at me in the mentions. But that's what I've been collecting so far, and I enjoy collecting it here in 2021. Now maybe next year it changed, but I got over 200 games and I'm so blessed and so happy that I actually was able to collect these for the right price and the right way. Pick it up. Thank you so much, brother, for inviting me on the channel. And I always remember to do it the right way.
Oh, hey, what's poppin'? It's Topher here, right, you go. And in this video, we're talking about consoles we like to collect for, and I'm holding a PlayStation 1 right here, PS1 Slim specifically, the Zone. And this is actually my favorite version of the PlayStation because of the form factor. It takes up less space, and cannot stress enough, I need to be able to maximize my space because I'm out here in the city of San Francisco and space is a luxury. And I live in a 1-bedroom apartment with my wife and 2 dogs, so I don't really got much space. I already overtake our living room. But I like to collect for the PS1 because it takes up less space in terms of the PS1 Slim itself. And honestly, I don't even have to put the games into a PS1. I could actually put in my PS3. If I wanted the console just for collection, I'd rather have this one versus the other one. I'm not an audiophile, so I don't really care for the other one. Also, the cases look tight, man. I love it when the games are like stacked next to each other like this. Look, it's basically the size of the disc. I know it differs when it comes to the long boxes and when it comes to, but these are dope too. And I prefer these over the PS2 cases mainly because it makes the art look better on the jewel case. I mean, yes, you can have more space for art, but I like the challenge that most designers had, fit it on the square manual and on basically the square back. And honestly, I feel like the colors are more vibrant when it's like this versus that kind of like clear plastic, soft plastic on the, you know, the PS4 titles and that like Xbox 360 titles. It doesn't look the same in my opinion. There's a fat ass library that you would always find a game because in my job I find hella games. And whenever I find PS1, big lots of PS1s, whether it is a garage sale, whether it is at a flea market, estate sale, whatever I go, there's always titles that I've never seen before. Obviously I see the same garbage titles, but there are some solid titles for this console. And I appreciate the effort that a lot of the developers had for this console based on its limitation. And the library is insane, man. It's got how many games? It's nearly 8,000 games, bro. It's kind of like a high. I mean, I feel like that's what a lot of collectors do. They're kind of like addicted, but I feel like it's a healthy addiction because it's a great hobby to have, something to keep my mind sane. And it's hard to stay sane nowadays, especially these times, but you know, it's what keeps me sane. I love it. And that's how collecting should be. And that's how I feel when I collect for the PS1. It's just a love. I do like collecting for other consoles. I'm not a loyalist or a rider when it comes to like different consoles. PlayStation 1, I'm very fond of just because it brings me back to being a kid. That's how collecting is. This little ass machine, this is actually a dope ass gaming system.
Okay guys, so last but not least, the system that I like to collect for the most would have to be the Xbox 360. During the 7th generation, you had the Xbox 360, the Nintendo Wii, the PlayStation 3, and in my opinion, the Xbox 360 was my favorite console that generation. It was a fantastic system that was cheaper than the PlayStation 3, and reliability issues aside, I think they really got a handle on that, and I think their response to it was very mature and just very appropriate considering the circumstances. The response to the Red Ring of Death ultimately, I think, gave them more kudos to the general public than they would have gotten otherwise, and so I don't really have complaints there. Red Ring of Death, but you know, I sent it in, they got it fixed for free and all that, and you know, ultimately everything was fine after that. One of the other reasons I really like the 360 was just the their version of Microsoft of Xbox Live. Yes, the PlayStation 3 had online play for free, but generally I had more fun just with the overall experience of Xbox Live, and Xbox Live really came to its own, and so did just online gameplay in general. So that was a huge plus in my opinion for the Xbox 360. Another thing is when it came to third-party games, when we're talking about the PlayStation 2 era and even, you know, with the PlayStation 4, Sony enjoyed an advantage when it comes to, you know, exclusive titles. And so we didn't really see that with the Xbox 360. A lot of developers were getting on board primarily because the PlayStation 3 cell processor was hard to develop for. So we got a lot more third-party ports on the Xbox 360 than we did with the original Xbox and the Xbox One, for sure. So, and that being said, the Xbox 360 ports of most of these games had, you know, superior graphics, ran smoother, and, you know, like I said, all the same advantages you would see with the Xbox One and PS4, but this didn't have the disadvantage of not having those, you know, those third-party ports, and it had its fair share of great exclusives as well. So my pick, Xbox 360. One last thing I wanted to mention, that with all those great ports, the Xbox 360 version of a lot of these ports tends to be the cheaper port. So a stack of games on the PlayStation 3 that would cost me, you know, well over $100, I can get that same stack of games on the Xbox 360. In most cases, those will be the superior ports, and I can get those for a fraction of the cost. And so that alone, that's a huge deal for me and a huge win for Microsoft. Again, the Xbox 360 is one of my favorite consoles of all time, and those are the reasons why. Alright guys, if you like this content, go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, you'll be glad you did. Thank you to Gat Cognac, Hyphy Gold, Mr.wright and Pickflip for joining us on this video. This was originally Pickflip's idea, and when I did my portion for Pickflip, I actually chose the PlayStation 3 as my favorite console to collect for, but if you want to see why, you're gonna have to watch Pickflip's video. I'll leave a description of it down below. Guys, if you like this content, go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe. If you haven't done so already, you'll be glad you did. I do believe that's all I got for you. Lightsaber Samurai out, and peace.